Hey guys, welcome back to Ray's Create Cards. This is Ray Henderson. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Morristown, Tennessee. And tonight I thought we would do a little bit more of an ink blending technique, but this time with a twist, because we're also going to be using some colored pencil, a white colored pencil. Are you ready to get started? We're going to do one more Christmas card at least. Hopefully I can work in maybe a few more before it gets too late for you to be able to create and send your own Christmas cards, okay? We're going to start out with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I am using the Leaves of Holly set, and I'm only going to be using 2 stamps out of this set. I'm going to be using the smallest detailed holly leaf, and I'm going to be using the greeting from Our Home to Yours on the outside. Now on the inside of the card, I got out my Christmas to Remember, and I'm using Friends Like You Make This Season Special. Friends are blessings from God, right? They really are. So, and we all have people that we miss, that we don't maybe get to see but once in a blue moon. Maybe they live out of town, out of state, whatever. And so we want to be sure and remember them in our Christmas celebration and let them know they are loved. All right, we're going to start out. I've already got it mounted on a block. I'm going to take my Memento ink and ever so carefully. All right, we're going to get this inked up. I'm not using my Pierce mat underneath because this is thick enough. This is like a silicone mat, and I get really good results anytime I am stamping with photopolymer, so I have elected not to do that. Now, this piece of basic white that I am using is actually cut a little bit bigger than what we're going to end up using. I'll be able to cut this down when all is said and done. But for right now, I have started out this piece as 3 3/4 by 5. You may not want to start out with a piece that's that big, and that's okay. You don't have to. I hope you play around, and if you don't have these particular stamp sets, use what you have, right? As long as you have got an image that has got some white area with some detail to it, you'll be able to recreate this technique with any kind of stamp set that you may have. You can use any color scheme you may have. Doesn't have to be a Christmas card. It could even be like a Thanksgiving card, right? All right, am I inked up here? Think so. And then I'm going to come in, probably about like so. Here we go. Press that, make sure that ink has a chance to sit on there. There we go. Now, I'm going to cover this back up, but I'm going to flip it back. I have been in a habit for a very long time now, keeping my Memento pads and my Stays-On pads upside down. That way there, when I get ready to use it, I know the ink is at the top of the pad and not sunk down to the bottom. And I'm going to get good coverage when I stamp with that. And because that is Memento Black, I am going to clean that ever so quickly off to the side. But the neat thing that you're going to see is that when all is said and done, these leaves aren't even going to look black. All right, let me put that stamp to the side. Now, I don't have Stampin' Up's pencils, and I don't have Stampin' Up pencils because 2 to 3 years before I got into card making and learning how to make cards, I got into the adult coloring, and I got into it really hard and heavy. And I started out, I bought like a 12-pack of Prismacolor, and it wasn't too long before then I was buying a 24-pack of Prismacolor. And I saw right away that what I really needed to do was just go ahead and invest in the big set, and I did. They may have bigger sets available now, I don't know, but I did buy at the time a 150 count set, and I have used Stampin' Up's pencils. My upline actually had a set that she let me use, and I was very happy with them. So if you don't have an investment already into a good quality pencil, Stampin' Up pencils will do you just fine. And had I not had these, yes, I would have ordered Stampin' Up. So you're going to take, after you have stamped your image, and you're just kind of going into the white areas with your white pencil. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be totally filled in. As you can see, I'm kind of getting out of the lines a little bit. But this is actually a very forgiving technique. And it is something that most of us can do, even if we don't have like the heat embossing tools, things like that you might use with that emboss resist technique that we did last week with the snowflakes. Oh, and speaking of that, I want to show you something. So this was the card that we did last week. Okay, isn't that pretty? But I went back and I revisited after doing that video, and I did this one. Now, right off the bat, you'll see one of the differences is I went a little bit heavier with the color, okay? So you make up your mind if you like the lighter, if you like the darker. I actually like both. And I didn't forget to put my ribbon on all the way across. And I decided I would change it up. And so I just used basic white with the Gorgeous Grape ink to stamp my sentiment. Then I came in, and I don't know if you can see, right there in the middle of that snowflake, and then around the sentiment, I used the iridescent rhinestones that we have, okay? And I like that. And then on the inside, I pretty much did the same thing that I had done on the video last week, okay? Except this time I did go ahead and utilize one of those strips that came from cutting down this piece of cardstock. Then I took even more ribbon, and I thought, well, you know, how about adding a ribbon? And then I thought, well, I don't really like that too much, but if I had attached that to the middle and then maybe snip my tails, I don't know, somewhere right in here, just so it wasn't obscuring the sentiment. And I thought, well, yeah, you know, that could have worked too. So, again, get your thinking caps on. Sky's the limit. Your imagination is probably a whole lot better than mine when it comes to seeing what you can do with the tools that you have, the stamps that you have, and get creative. Absolutely. It's awesome. Okay. Not every time you go in your craft room are you going to come out with a home run. I mean, you're just not. I don't either. I don't even remember what video it was in, but I think I showed you guys the ugliest card that I had ever made. Now, was it the only ugly card I had ever made? No, but it was by far, in my opinion, the ugliest. Okay, it's not going to take very much longer. We're almost there, and I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting some good white, I don't know, you want to call it wax? Prismacolor pencils are very waxy, but they are formulated in such a way that you can layer colors a lot with their Prismacolor. They take to layering and blending very well. All right, I think I've got pretty much all of that. Okay. All right, so I am done with that. Oh, and FYI, if you have, or if you plan to get anything like Prismacolor pencils, please do your research and please get the tools that are recommended to go with what you have invested in. When I say that, like the way you sharpen your Prismacolor, these aren't cheap, okay? When you get ready to sharpen, please don't use an electric pencil sharpener. Get one that Prismacolor recommends to be used. And when you get ready to sharpen your pencil, go slow, go easy, be delicate, because you don't want to unnecessarily waste any of that valuable resource by chewing it up in a pencil sharpener, okay? I just had to throw that in there. That was one of the things I really took time to learn, because yes, it was an investment, and yes, I did not want to diminish my investment unnecessarily. We're going to be using Evening Evergreen. And I'm just going to load up my brush. I'll pull this down, kind of make sure I don't have excess. Oh my, that's pretty dark. Okay, that's better. And I'm just going to come in from the side. And again, just like I showed you last week, I'm holding my brush way back here to make sure I'm not putting undue pressure on the ink. I want to try to do this as smoothly as I can. Okay. Make sure I don't have any blobs. And start off on your paper and then come in ever so lightly from the edge. You can always increase your pressure if you feel like you need to. If you feel like you're getting really light on ink, you can do that. And you don't have to fill every little bit of white space. You can have some lighter areas. You really can. Okay. I want to go just a little bit darker in the middle, but not too dark. This is a pretty intense ink. So I'm just going to try to apply a bit more color through what I see as the middle here. Just a bit more. And again, we're all different. We all have different tastes. And you do you. Maybe you want yours super, super, super dark. And if you do, that's fine. Okay, not real sure. There's actually something there on my paper, and I don't know where it came from. I thought at first it was ink. No, it's something right there. I was stuck. Okay, that's weird. Let's kind of fill that in so we can't see that. Get some ink on there. Okay, that's really not going to be that noticeable. All right, I am done with that. Now, at this point, let me get my brush out of the way. I know me. I'm going to take a cloth, and I am simply going to buff over. All right, let me hold this up to the camera so you can see. It looks like it's all green, okay? But let me take my cloth and simply rub on those areas where we previously used the white pencil. And I'm just buffing off any ink that was on top, okay? Can you see how much brighter this leaf is than these two? You see that? Okay, we're continuing on. Gonna get them all buffed. But the white pencil and it being kind of waxy does kind of help to resist the ink. Not totally, but enough. I love this technique. Now, do you see how all of a sudden we have got a little bit of a wow factor going on? Do you see that? It just brightened it up. All right, really quick, off camera, I'm going to cut this down. And I'm using the rectangle stitch framelits, and I am using the second largest, not the largest, but the next one down. And I'm just going to lay it on here and cut this out just ever so quickly. I hope I'm going to cut it out ever so quickly. And I hope everybody's been having a really good week. I've had an awesome, awesome week. There were some rough moments at work here and there, but by and large, yeah, it was all good. It was all good. And I was up really early this morning and getting a lot of stuff done. It's taken me just a hot minute, guys, because I want to make real sure I am right where I want that to cut out. And then I'm going to crank it through real quick. All right. Let's get this back over here and get my frame off of there. I'm not going to use that frame for anything. All right, so here we go. Here it's been cut out, and you can see the stitching that is around it. At this point, I want to go ahead, get back out my evening evergreen, and ink up my sentiment from our home to yours. Make sure I've got that inked up. And I'm just going to come right down here in the lower right area. And hopefully I'm stamping this straight. Can't have my head right over it. Okay, not bad. I'm okay with that. Okay, and I'm gonna clean this off really quick. Photopolymer stains, it just does. You know, there's an old saying, for everything you gain, you give something up. And that also applies to the photopolymer. You're able to see through it, and that can be a huge advantage. But by the same token, they also stain. More so than our clean stamps, or what you might call red rubber stamps. All right, I previously dug out my iridescent pearls. Not the regular pearls, but the iridescent pearls. And I colored 3 of them with my dark red stamping blends. Now, I don't know if you can kind of see it on camera. You'll see that where it looks like it may look dirty to you in the camera. It's actually little bits of super glue. So I went to use this one day, and this part here came out. Now, if that ever happens to you, please don't throw it away. Just put your tip and everything back together. Take you just a little bit of super glue around the edge, and you are good to go longer. I do have a brand new set of Real Red, the Light and the Dark, waiting in the wings for that day that this finally does run out of ink. But be mindful, if that ever happens to you, you can fix it. It is not a known issue with Stampin' Up! Blends, but you know, anything man-made can and will fail, right? We all know this. All right, so I took the iridescents, and without me taking them off, can you still see how much shine is coming through? More than what you would get with the Pearl Basic Jewels. Now, some of that shine still comes through, but these have even more shine. And I don't know how well that is showing up for you on camera. I decided not to try to work in the berries and to try to make red berries in this. I really liked the simplicity of this. It was very appealing to me, and I'm hoping it's very appealing to a lot of you as well, because sometimes we just need that easy button, right? Yeah, we do. I appreciate an easy button anytime I can get one. And again, you don't have to put your bling where I'm putting mine at all. You may not even like where I put mine, but that's okay. You do you. All right, I have a card base of Evening Evergreen, and I have a piece of basic white that I want to put on the inside. But before we glue that in, I do want to take my sentiment, Friends Like You Make the Season Special. And that, again, is from the Christmas to Remember set. And I don't want to stamp it in Memento. I want to stamp it in Evening Evergreen. Okay. I'm going to move this. Kind of put this using my grid paper. And hopefully I have this mounted straight. Hopefully. I'm going to come down, hopefully in the middle, a little ways from the top, an inch or so. Okay. There we go. I think that's stamped pretty well. Okay. Can you tell? Yep. You know me. I don't know how to play in ink without wearing some of it. But anyway, it'd be all right. I'm cleaning this very quickly on my Stampin' Scrub. All right, now I can put that to the side. And I'm trying to decide if I want to, and I kind of think I do. I think, let's stamp a holly leaf or two on the inside. However, I don't think I want it real vibrant. If I stamp that off, oh, that is so much better. That is so much better. So let's stamp it off. Let's come up a little ways. And then stamp it again. And one more time. There we go. All right. So now we have a little cluster there in the corner. And because we used Real Red on the pearls in the front, you absolutely could have stamped Friends Like You in Real Red had you wanted to. Nothing wrong with that. And you still have plenty of room to write a message. And you could have even stamped holly berries on the inside if you wanted to. Now, I didn't have my glue out. Let me get that down here. I didn't clean my bottle of glue either. I know, it's kind of dirty. Kind of. That's okay. We're going to make this work. All right. Get that laid in there. Oh, and I didn't even tell you. So I cut this inside piece of basic white at 4 by 5 1/4. Yep. I've got ink on my hands, so I just got a little smear of ink on that. I sure did. Don't know if you saw it, but I did. I've always had a bad habit of telling on myself, and you may not have got it on camera, but I saw it. All right, so here's this piece. Now, I don't want to just lay it down right there, okay? We want to make this pop a little bit, and while black is one of my favorite popping colors, I decided since we have this really dark, pretty Evening Evergreen, we want a piece of basic white to go under this layer. And so this piece of basic white is 4 7/8 by 3 1/2, okay? So let's go ahead and get these joined together. I'm going to have to get in a better habit whenever I do ink blending and stuff like that, and have something nearby for me to constantly be putting my fingers onto to make sure I'm not transferring any ink where it doesn't need to be transferred. Now, when I came up with this idea, I did play with it, okay? And do you see what happened? When I taped down my die, it tore my cardstock. So this was the one I was playing with earlier today. However, I liked the technique enough to be able to replicate it. I didn't finish it into a card with that being torn. Obviously, I wasn't going to continue, but this was kind of the idea. And no two cards are ever going to be the same. Not even with the same person, same ink, same everything. They're just not going to be the same, okay? All right, let's go ahead and get this married. And I did mess around with some twine and some ribbon and all that kind of thing. But everything I tried, to me, was too fussy. Like it was overdone. So I elected not to do that. However, you might be able to pull that off, depending on what kind of a stamp set you use, what colors you use. You may very well be able to do a bow and what have you. All right, guys, it is simple, but I think it is so, so pretty. It's a little bit different, yet it does tie in with Christmas, with the holly. And we've got that wonderful sentiment for those dear friends on the inside. And I think they would be very happy to get this card. So let me know in the comments below what you thought about this technique, if you are going to play with it or experiment with it and see what you come up with. But anyway, guys, until we meet again, I hope that you guys are richly blessed. Please know that you are loved, and I will talk to you later. Bye.